This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm George Thomas. All 50 states are now in some phase of phase one in opening, but Republicans in the Minnesota legislature are pushing back against ongoing restrictions on churches. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's current COVID-19 executive order allows retailers to operate at 50% capacity beginning June 1 and allows bars and restaurants to serve customers outdoors, while barbers and salons can operate indoors at partial capacity if patrons wear masks. However, churches have not been given the green light, still being required to cap worship services at 10 people. The governor saying there won't be any changes for churches until phase 2. The Minnesota Catholic Church Conference and the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod sent the governor letters announcing that they would be resuming worship services on May 26th, despite his restrictions. The Becket Fund for Religious Liberty sent Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison a legal letter explaining why continuing to keep churches closed violates the First Amendment. Attorney Diana Verm with Becket joins us now for more. Diana, I'm curious, what is the governor's rationale behind keeping churches locked down until phase 2?
Well, I just want to say that these churches have been, throughout this crisis, they have been trying to work with the governor, and they have been working hard to love their neighbors and to prevent the spread of this disease. They reached out to the governor multiple times with protocols that they have in place to reopen safely. The governor is saying churches are at the end of the line, and he hasn't offered a strong argument for why retail, like the Mall of America, can reopen at 50% capacity, but churches are stuck at 10% in-person services indefinitely.
Are the churches that plan on opening despite restrictions planning on abiding by phase 1 guidelines, or do they have plans to open in full capacity?
The governor has asked groups to submit protocols for reopening. And so since retail is at 50%, the churches have proposed that they open at 33%. They've proposed strict protocols for cleaning, for social distancing, for making sure people aren't touching the same thing, so that they've submitted their protocols to the governor and told him exactly what they plan to do.
Why are we seeing some states restrict worship while others are allowing churches to begin resuming operations? What's the difference state by state?
Most states actually are allowing churches to resume, and different states are doing it differently. Some states are saying, well, we're not ready yet, so they're keeping everyone equal. So they're allowing retail to open along at the same time as churches. Minnesota has to explain why they're doing it differently. They have to be able to explain why it's different in Minnesota than it is in, say, Michigan, where churches are allowed to operate. So Minnesota is the odd one out here.
Explain to us real quickly more about how this violates First Amendment rights.
Sure. Well, the First Amendment does not have a pandemic exception, so the government has to follow the First Amendment even in a time of crisis. And this is a situation where if the government is treating retail and non-essential businesses one way, they have to have a really good argument based in science for why they can't treat churches the same way. And we haven't seen that yet.
Diana, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Diana Verm with the Becket Fund. Thanks for coming on the show. We move on to other news where President Trump is in Michigan today, touring a Ford plant now making ventilators. This as the state is dealing with what the governor of Michigan is calling a flood of biblical proportions that has swamped parts of the state with enough water to swallow entire neighborhoods. After days of heavy rain, 2 dams failed. Local officials say they knew this could happen, so why was nothing done to stop it? Jenna Browder has the harrowing details.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer says this is unlike anything the state of Michigan has seen before. The devastating flooding peaking, leaving thousands with nowhere to go.
Oh my God, that's somebody's house.
This after 2 dams failed, releasing enough water to swallow entire neighborhoods.
Most of the buildings down here are damaged beyond repair or gone.
Water reaching roofs of homes, cars and roads swept under the deluge. An amazing 374,000 gallons per second flowing out of the river. This boat smashing into the bridge before getting sucked down. Other bridges left altogether destroyed.
It's going to have a major impact on this community and on our state for the time to come.
It's a big, big problem. And so we've sent the FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers out, and they're very good at dams.
Local officials now say they knew this could happen.
This was a known problem for a while.
In fact, federal regulators revoked Edenville's dam hydropower license because of overflow concerns found in 1999. And the Army Corps of Engineers reported the Sanford Dam had a high hazard potential during an inspection in 2018. The federal government is now ordering an investigation. Meanwhile, it's going to be a while before people return home as communities downstream also brace for flooding. Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Thank you so much, Jenna. We move overseas where a powerful cyclone ripped through densely populated coastal India and Bangladesh, killing more than 24 people. The cyclone, which is the equivalent to a Category 3 hurricane, brought winds up to 118 miles per hour. Most of the deaths were due to the collapse of walls, drowning and falling trees in both countries. Hundreds of villages in Bangladesh were flooded by tidal surges, leaving at least 1 million people without electricity. As the weather calms down today, officials in both countries said they still don't know the full extent of the damage. Coming up, how one small town was hit by COVID-19 and what one church is doing to help the community. But before we go to the break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN NewsWatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God, even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're gonna be late for the grand opening. My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come? I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members, free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
Welcome back, folks. You're watching the CBN News Channel. COVID-19 recently hit a small rural Indiana community very hard. More than 1,000 cases in Cass County, with the majority tied to a local meat packing plant. Pastor Zach Zamara and the Bridge Community Church have been ministering in the midst of the deadly outbreak. Our Heather Sells spoke with him for more.
So tell us, it was just a few weeks ago that you found out that you had a lot of people sick with COVID-19 in your community. What was that like, and how did your church decide to respond?
So I think like most communities, we were looking at numbers and we had low numbers. Then all of a sudden we increased, like you shared, hundreds a day. And so we were probably confused and a little concerned and worried about what was causing the increase and what we can do in the midst of it.
And how did you decide ultimately to minister, and how did you help?
So we're a very diverse church. We do everything together in English and Spanish and Haitian Creole. We're a diverse community, and so we've already served a lot of people. We have a legal office here on site at the church, and so it wasn't just hearing positive numbers. They were positive numbers that attend our church or our clients or in our families. And so we quickly learned that we needed to make sure that we had some great information out there. So we did a lot of translation, working with the hospital directly to make sure that information was in the heart languages of the people. And then we found out there was just a lot of needs when it came to serving financially. How do we help with medical bills? How do we help people understand where they can turn if they're struggling to pay their utilities or their rent? And so we actually set up a Samaria fund as a way just to help people pay bills especially.
Wow. And tell us just a little bit about the backstory in your community, because it sounds like there's 3 meat packing plants in your community. They're recruiting workers from all around the world. So you as you referenced, you really have an international community right there in the middle of the heartland.
Yeah, that's true. I think what people need to realize about the meat processing business is you put plants where animals are, not necessarily where people are. And so while you have diversity in large cities, in a small town, my city is a city of 18,000. My legal office has served 100 different countries of origin. So our diversity in the heartland is really close together because it's small towns that are extremely diverse with people that speak many languages from all over the world, and they call this place home. So when we're trying to communicate, especially important things like related to COVID-19, we got to do it in a lot of languages, and we got to serve a lot of different cultures and a lot of different families.
It's so fascinating. How are the COVID patients and their families doing at this point in time?
They're doing well. We have like 1,500 cases in a community of 18,000, and so a lot of people are impacted by it. Within immigrant and refugee communities, the reality is the household side is quite large. So trying to quarantine people, it's not as if it's a massive house where you can put people like in another part of it. And so families are just trying to do their best. Immigrants are the most resilient people I know. And so they're figuring out a way through. We have been very grateful that we haven't had as many hospitalizations nor deaths in our community. So lots of positive cases, but a lot of the people that have been impacted are young and healthy and are recovering, which is a huge answer to prayer and a huge blessing.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. In the midst of all this hardship, how have you seen the Lord working?
I think it's great to see people coming together. When we shared that there was a need in our community, we have 17 other church-based immigration legal offices around the nation that heard about it. I had people from as far away as California offering how their church could help serve our community. And so we've been very grateful. God's heart is inclined towards the poor and the widow, the orphan, and the foreigner living among us. And we've had a lot of congregations, monoethnic congregations from other parts of the nation saying, we want to help the immigrants and refugees that you serve at the bridge. And so we've had thousands of dollars come in, and we've been able to serve our immigrant families with thousands of dollars to help pay bills. And so we've been grateful to see that, the people of God being the people of God.
It's a really beautiful story. Pastor Zach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Still ahead, one expert breaks down how the World Health Organization and China are responsible for this global health pandemic.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path. Nigerian Christians are
Christians in Iran are routinely arrested.
Catholic Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Welcome back to the CBN News Channel. President Trump says the World Health Organization has 30 days to make, quote, major substantive improvements if it wants to avoid the United States making the WHO funding freeze permanent. The president says his administration has completed an investigation that shows the UN health body is responsible for making multiple failures in the early stages of the virus outbreak. Appearing on this week's episode of the Global Lane Hudson Institute, senior fellow Robert Spalding explains how the actions of both the WHO and China actually created a global pandemic.
What the WHO talked about in mid-January was what they call potentially minor human-to-human transmission. Of course, we know that the Chinese Communist Party knew that there was human-to-human transmission, and in fact, the WHO was aware of this, but nevertheless continued to tell the world that there was no danger from the coronavirus spreading. And this is at the same time that the Chinese Communist Party was encouraging travel outside of Wuhan to international destinations, but not domestic destinations. So essentially, the Chinese Communist Party caused the pandemic, and because the World Health Organization didn't do their job, actually they were acting at the behest of the Chinese Communist Party. They actually aided and abetted the spread of the disease.
Well, how is it that China has so much influence on the WHO when the United States contributes nearly $900 million in recent years it has to China, and China about 10 times less that, only about 83 million. So why so much influence from China?
Well, because the Chinese Communist Party actually does something called elite capture, and it's really about finding those individuals that have an ability to make decisions that benefit them and encouraging them, creating relationships with them, many times, oftentimes financial, that allows them to, gain some kind of profit or benefit, and the Chinese Communist Party get their allegiance with regard to the decisions they make. Now, we don't have evidence, direct evidence of this with regard to Tedros, but we do know he comes from Somalia. Of course, Somalia has gotten billions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party. So inevitably, the World Health Organization, although it gets 10 times the amount from the United States, the leaders of the World Health Organization are certainly suspect.
How should the world respond, General?
Well, what we were doing prior to coronavirus was slowly decoupling the two economies. The Chinese Communist Party doesn't believe in free trade. They don't believe in civil liberties. And so we were trying to protect the American businessmen from, the uncompetitive behavior of the Chinese Communist Party and their companies. That being said, the coronavirus really demonstrates how dangerous that's been, in terms of PPE, masks, active ingredients for pharmaceuticals, antibiotics. So what's going to happen is we need to accelerate that decoupling and really begin to work together as democracies to reflow our trading relationships, reflow our financial relationships. And as we do, we'll be able to protect the societies and the companies from the predations of the Chinese Communist Party.
And finally, I've got to ask you about China's actions around the globe, as many countries are still trying to save lives during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our Asia correspondent, Lucille Toulousan, recently reported about the Chinese Navy threatening Vietnam and Indonesia in the South China Sea. That comes at a time when the Chinese Communist Party is losing support around the world because of COVID-19. Its military is acting aggressively, even with close flyovers of U.S. ships in the region. I'm assuming you think that's not really a way to win friends and influence people, is it? How should we respond?
Well, the Chinese Communist Party built these 4 illegal islands in international waters. The International Tribunal in The Hague basically ruled against them. They've ignored it. Their goal is basically to steal the resources of the countries in the region from their exclusive economic zones. $5 trillion in trade flows through those waterways, and the United States Navy is there to protect the international waters. I think we're going to have to stand up collectively as democracies against this aggression. I don't think that's going to lead to conflict, but we have to stand our ground, and we can't let the Chinese just roll over and take international space away from the global commons.
Okay, I'm sure more to come. Brigadier General Robert Spalding, Senior Fellow at the Hudson Institute. Always appreciate your insight, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You can catch more of the Global Lane tonight at 9:30 Eastern, as always, right here on the CBN News Channel. Up next, how farmers in Washington State are teaming up with the National Guard to help make sure no one goes hungry.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Protect your sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
And welcome back to the broadcast. Cars lined up in Tacoma, Washington to receive bags of potatoes as part of a mission to get 1 million pounds of potatoes into the hands of people who need it. Members of the Washington National Guard helped hand out about 200,000 pounds donated by local farmers. The potatoes were meant to be sold to restaurants and other food service establishments, but COVID-19 happened. The giveaway was organized by the Washington State Potato Commission.
So these potatoes we made into French fries, and there's no market for French fries, so instead of throwing away, giving the cows a berry, and we're giving the people who need them.
I think this is just the most wonderful, wonderful thing. I hated to see things go to waste in the beginning, so I'm really glad that they put this together.
That's pretty cool. About 80,000 pounds were also distributed to food pantries in the area. Well, folks, that is it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com, or you can reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. From all of us here in the studio, as well as in the control room, and my excellent producer, Kayla. Great to have her back. On behalf of all of us here on the Christian Broadcasting Network, goodbye and God bless.